All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 2 of Call Me Crazy with Davis James. In case you're wondering, yes, we are taking sponsors for advertisement on this real estate that I have behind me. I was telling my producer and cameraman Tater that in this shot, I wanted to get the light switch like as far sort of out of the frame as possible, because with the computer screen gone and everything gone, this becomes like my little buddy, and it's my only friend on camera, and I feel like it's my co-host. I should talk to it or something. So sponsors, yeah, if you want, I mean, look at all this room. We got plenty of room to work with. But anyways, you guys. First and foremost, I want to thank you all so much for listening to episode 1. Way more people that listened to it than I thought ever would. Granted, that was only 170 of you, so you see how low my bar was. But nonetheless, incredible support from you guys. I can't thank you enough. It was amazing. So on this episode, we are going to, again, this is just the beginning of all this, and so we're going to test some stuff out, and so some stuff may hit, and you guys may like it, and some stuff might not. So, I thought I'd kind of just start off today by just telling a story that my buddy reminded me of something that we did years ago, and kind of just go from there. But we're essentially going to have some segments, and we'll kind of split things up, and we're going to hear from some of you guys later on in the show, which I'm super excited about. So let's get started. I was talking to my buddy the other day. And I'm not going to name names because part of this story, he has asked me to keep quiet because he doesn't want people in his life to know. But anyway, yeah, we were talking about it the other day, and there's actually a picture of it. But there was one day I went over to my buddy's house, and this was like after I had left opera school. And I was just being a degenerate and mowing lawns and doing nothing but living with my dad and, I don't know, doing whatever. I went over to my buddy's house, and he had like some ecstasy or LSD or something. I can't remember what it was, but some sort of hallucinogen. And we took it, and the idea was we were just going to hang out at his house. And he had a really nice house. He lived on a lake, and so there's plenty of stuff for us to do. So we take it, and we're all messed up, and we're having a great time, and we're, like 6 or 7 hours deep at this point. And I don't know what came over me, but I think I was like looking outside. Maybe I saw a squirrel or something, but I went to my buddy, who obviously is in this immaculate house on a lake, and I turned to him and I said, something tells me that your mom might have a fur coat or two in this house. And he looked back at me with this sort of like Joker-esque grin and was like, follow me. So he takes me into the master bedroom, into his parents' closet, and opens up the fur closet, an entire closet designated for fur, which I didn't even know existed, but I guess so. So we open up the door. Inside are these fur coats, and I pick out the one that I think is just rock star. Mind you, these are all women's jackets. So I put this thing on. It actually looks pretty hot on me, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. And we, for the remainder of the trip, for the night, for like the next 12 hours, we lived in these fur coats, and we ended up falling asleep in them. But at one point during the night, I and my buddy Gamgee went out to the lake because we wanted to reenact the life of Lewis and Clark, That was like what was going through our mind. We were in these fur coats. We saw that he had like a canoe. It wasn't a canoe. It was like a, neon kayak. But in our heads, it was like, this is a wooden, native built canoe. And so we grabbed this thing. Only problem was it was the middle of winter, so the lake was frozen. We weren't canoeing anywhere. We were maybe Titanicking. But we get down to the lake, and the whole front is frozen. And I think that you can smash through the ice. So I grab this canoe and I lift it up and smack it down on the ice, and it does nothing but make this sound that literally sounded like a nuclear bomb went off, and a car alarm went off in the distance, and it scared us both, and we ran back inside. And then my buddy, whose parents owned the house, said, guys, I got to go quit my job. And we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, I totally forgot. Today was my last day. I have to go quit. And I was like, okay. So tripping balls. He has to get behind the wheel of his car, drive 45 minutes to a like warehouse. I can't remember what kind of it was, like a wholesale warehouse, where he had to stand for 6 hours and sell pillows for 6 hours, tripping balls. And then after which he had to tell his boss that he quit. And so he left me and Gamgee there alone, tripping balls in his house, and he went to go do that, which is probably an insane story on its own, which I do not have the POV of. And then when he was gone, me and my buddy Gamgee were like in his basement in the like back room, and all the power went out at his house, and we thought there were spirits and ghosts in the house, and we freaked out and ran outside. It was crazy. And then I think it was like 4 a.m. I was like, I got to go home. And then I got in my car and I drove, and I got lost on the roads, and I ended up just turning around completely and heading back to the house. Like an hour later, I was lost for an hour on the streets. And I finally make my way back to the house, and I walk downstairs. They think I'm like, gone or home or whatever, asleep. And I walk in and just scare the living shit out of them, which was awesome at the time. But anyway, yeah, that was one of those nights when you're young and doing crazy stuff that you look back fondly on. There are many, many, many nights that I was doing stuff like that I look back not quite so fondly on. So that's just a fun little story for you, just sort of a more long form kind of something I would say on my Instagram. But that, I think, is going to segue us into our first official, I guess, whatever you want to call it, segment, whatever section. But we would like to hear from you. And I don't know if I was like confusing on my Instagram story post, or maybe it was just a confusing question, but I want to hear from you guys. I put on my story that I wanted you guys to send me like a voice memo, sort of like a call-in. Eventually, I would like to get like a phone number that you can call in and stuff like that. But for right now, I just want like a voice memo that you can send to my Instagram, and I can upload it onto the podcast like you're calling in. And I just want a story that is like what I just told you, or like what I tell on Instagram. Just a crazy story that, like, life is filled with so many crazy stories that nobody would believe if somebody wasn't right there watching. And so it doesn't have to do with drinking. It doesn't have to do with addiction. It doesn't have to do with anything. It's just some crazy story. And so anyway, that is what I would like from you, but I don't think that was properly communicated over my Instagram. Anyway, I did get a story from somebody here that I'm going to pull up. And I don't know if this individual wanted to remain anonymous. I'm just going to start off with their first name. So I'm just going to say this was sent to me by one of my followers on Instagram named Megan. And Megan writes, one time I went to a woods party. Not sure quite what that is. I'm assuming it's a party in the woods. Maybe it's that self-explanatory. I was 16 and took acid, but mostly nobody knew it, and I was really fucked up from either the alcohol intake or acid, but some hoodlums and I decided to leave. We walked the creepy ass train tracks back to town, managing not to get hit by a train, and I had decided it was time for yet another tab. Of course. When one creep found a little shed along the tracks, and we realized it controlled like the trains. I had to convince him not to pull wires or press buttons. He was really going to shut down some serious shit. I was peeking at 2 a.m. as I stared into a window and saw a literal demon. That is rule number one, folks, on acid that I have made the mistake of many a time. Avoid reflective surfaces, mirrors, windows, whatever. You never, just stay away because you'll get caught in the trap. Later on, leaving the friend's house on Demon Street, getting into a taxi, a man ran up the street full speed, grabbed me, shook me, and punched me. He then said, "Oh, fuck, wrong person." The taxi driver asked if I would like to go to the police around the corner, and I said, "I am on drugs and underage drinking." God, I'd love to know the taxi driver's response on that. Finally, I realized I had to food prep / cook for a popular restaurant on the 4th of July, their busiest fucking day, and was really bugging. I went in no sleep and swore, "Wow, I'll never do this again," and repeated to either pull all-nighters on shrooms or drink my life away while managing to food prep and cook. Just feeling proud of myself as now a mother of 4 and kids and working my ass off. Life doesn't get easier. So it sounds like, I don't know if the wording, maybe the proper wording was used at the end there, but it sounds like she's doing a whole lot better. That maybe she does not do that anymore, the whole all-nighters thing, but that's insane. Okay, folks, so let's break this down here. So let's start with the woods party. I went to a woods party. That's already red flag right there. Somebody's like, "Hey dog, let's go to the woods party." Absolutely not, good sir. I'm going to stay home. Okay, so that was already numero uno one at 16 too. Come on. I mean, come on. Kind of asking for it. Decided to, okay, so yes, we went to the woods party at 16, took acid, was really fucked up from either the alcohol or the acid. Could have been probably an and situation, not an or situation with that one. And then decided to leave the party randomly with quote unquote hoodlums. Now, my question for you is, did this happen in 1953? Because that's probably the last time that hoodlums walked the streets of wherever you were, and decided to leave with these hoodlums. Bad decision number 75. Walked the creepy-ass train tracks back to town, managing not to get hit by a train. That's good. And then decided to take another tab, which, you know, that's fine. With the hoodlums, you're still with, though. That's not fine then. Never mind. More drugs with the hoodlums, bad. Less drugs, come down with the hoodlums, good. But anyway, somehow or another, you have seemed to discover then with the hoodlums the shed that controls the universe. And you are afraid that one of the hoodlums is going to yank the wires stopping the trains from tracking. And then you stared into a window. We already said that was a bad decision. And then some random person on Demon Street, which I can't tell was the actual name of the street or just what you nicknamed it. Some random stranger ran up to you, grabbed you, shook you, punched you, and then said, "Oh, fuck, wrong person." Yeah. I mean, that's typical Davis James thing to happen to an individual. That is textbook Davis James would happen to me. Some random person walking up to me and then, pulling my pants down and then being like, "Wrong person." Yeah, 100%, or whatever it was. But all of this on acid, yeah, I could only imagine. I don't even know what I would do. I don't know if I'd punch him back or what. But yeah, I mean, yeah. But then again, 16 on acid, hoodlums, I think you probably made the right call here, to be frank. I mean, the taxi driver was like, "Do you want to go to the police?" And you said, and I quote, "I am on drugs and underage drinking." I think you made the absolute right call there. And then finally, I realized I had to food prep / cook for a popular restaurant on the 4th of July on their busiest day. So it sounds like you went out on the 3rd of July and got all fucked up the day before work. That's a no go. I've done that a million times, and that shit sucks, especially on acid. Oh my God. Alcohol, booze is like, it sucks. You're hungover or whatever. That sucks at work. Coke is the worst coming down on that and being stuck at work on the job. Oh my God, that is the worst thing in the world. But acid's pretty bad too. And especially if you're around like weird smelling food or anything like that, that would fuck me up. So yeah, I mean, this sounds pretty terrible. But I loved how at the end of the story, I went in on no sleep and swore, quote, "Wow, I'll never do this again," and then repeated to either do that either on shrooms or acid many, many, many more times. That quote, "I'll never do this again. Wow, I'll never do this again." What a lie. Just what a lie. I mean, why even say it, really? Because you just know you're going to do it again, especially drinking. Like, you drink and you're like, you're sitting there at work, whatever, getting those TPS reports filled out. And you're just saying, wow, I'll never do this again, knowing full well that you're going to have that IPA at 5 p.m., knowing full well that you're going to, do that little tootski in the bathroom when you get there at 9 a.m. at work, or when you hop on the zero-turn lawnmower. But I'll never do this again. She proceeded to do it again. And then at the very end, this is my absolute favorite part of the entire story. I am just feeling proud of myself as I am now a mother of four kids, doing well and working my ass off. Life doesn't get any easier. No, it does not, Megan. So I'm sure it got a lot easier for her now that she wasn't running around with hoodlums at 2 o'clock in the morning on Demon Street. But yeah, Megan, thank you so much for submitting that story. I'm super proud of you. Mostly for deciding to take that second dose at 2 a.m., but also proud of you for doing really well now in life with your 4 children. So, Megan, thank you for sharing. Folks, that is the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Megan, hit it out of the park day one, okay? It's going to be hard to top, but I have faith in my listeners. I have faith in my viewers. So that is the kind of stuff I'm looking for, but it doesn't have to be that. Like I said, it doesn't have to be substance abuse related. It could be anything. Again, I don't want this podcast labeled as anything. I just, if you have something in life that you've told people that are like, that's insane, let me hear it. Send it to me. So, folks, that is the Take a Call here from a listener segment. And we are going to move on to the next segment, which I'm going to call Read the Segments. I'm going to come up with way better names for these segments. Obviously, that was dog shit, but for now, spur of the moment, that's what I'm going to call it. So we're going to head to one of my Instagram videos because, folks, the only thing better than a Davis James video is the Davis James video comments, because they are not only insane, but probably the best comment section in all of Instagram. So let's start with, this is the video. This video has 6 million views, like almost 4,000 comments. It's the video I told about my brother. When he went on that hike and his buddy got bit by the rattlesnake. So the top comment, I don't think this is the funniest one, but obviously not the funniest one. The top comment is from this guy named Fishing Garrett. He's the one that does those yoink videos in the Everglades. He commented, "Going to the hospital is the scariest part." That makes sense for him. He's probably been bit by a million rattlesnakes. All right, let's keep scrolling here. Doc is a fucking legend. So basically with this story, my brother went out on a hike in the mountains of Colorado with a couple of his buddies. And he goes out there 5 minutes into they all decide to take like a bunch of mushrooms or acid. I can't remember which one it was. And then, 5 minutes into the hike, they take all this stuff. And then at like 40 minutes, they're peaking. And then like 50 minutes, one of the dudes gets bitten by a rattlesnake and they end up having to go to the hospital. And they tell the doctor, because they're scared, they tell the doctor everything they took, like you always should. And the doctor decided to fuck with them and comes in. He got bitten on the leg, and the doctor said, "We're going to have to take the leg just to mess with him." The guy's leg is fine, but that's sort of the story. So this guy said the doc is a fucking legend. He is a fucking legend for doing something like that. I have yet to meet a doc that is so cool. This guy said the only thing better than this story is the doctor in it. Yeah, so the doctor's getting some love here. I would like to hear the story from the bitten guy's point of view. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Can you imagine tripping balls and getting bitten by a rattlesnake? That sounds like top 10, like the 10th level of hell for me. Top 10 worst thing ever. This guy said, did you shave your beard with a Bowie knife, or are you just retarded? So that guy's cool. We like that guy. The beard thing, look, I get it, okay? I just don't really care that much, to be honest. I try, folks. I try to look my best for you. And sometimes it does come off that way. Okay, maybe the hand's not as steady as it used to be after all the years of going crazy. Or hey, there's a beard trimming company out there that wants to send me a razor. That'd be great. But yeah, so to this guy, the answer to your question is probably the latter. All right. This person says, honestly, I had a really bad trip and the hospital kind of pulled me out of it. The doctors were blowing bubbles at me and shit. Also a legendary doctor or probably nurse in that situation. But wow, what bedside manner. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. That'd be the best thing in the world. I once had a bad shroom trip when I took some alone and thought I was dying, so I called an ambulance on myself like a dumbass. Riding the ambulance and being at the hospital on shrooms is not pleasant. The $15,000 ambulance bill did not help. Yeah, that ambulance bill is not fun. When I escaped the psych ward, I had to get taken to the psych ward in an ambulance, and that was not fun. B, I think it was like $5,000 was my hospital bill that I got after that. That was also not fun whatsoever. Shurka says, I would have never done drugs again. You would think, you really would think, but no. No, of course, nothing about that story, telling it made me say, why didn't he stop doing drugs? To be honest with you, Shurka, that is a crazier comment than anything that we've heard so far. So I applaud you for that, A, and then B, also, I'm going to have to go ahead and ask you to unfollow. Big Benny Benzo said, I pray for you. Thank you, sir. Suzie is really a wild one. She is. You know what? Folks, that is the read the comments section. We'll get a little bit more in depth on that. We'll get a little bit better at it. Or if you guys comment below and say F it, or for the kids out there, fuck it, then we'll just scrap it. But let's talk about Suzie for a little bit. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing on social media a lot of the time. And especially back when I was like first starting out, and that video that I posted, I grabbed that Suzie clip because like I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember that trend was like popular back in the day. And so I just was like, oh, I can do that. And so that's what I did. I didn't know anything about Suzie. I've seen like her videos. She's super talented as a creator, and dearly, dearly sweet. To answer a extremely popular question, that I always get, I have talked to Suzie. Suzie follows me on Instagram. We've communicated several times. She has told me that she loves my videos. Whether or not that is true, God love her for it. But she really is a trooper. I have used that intro many a video, and I'm really appreciative that she has been such a good sport about it. And if Suzie were to ever see this, Suzie, I would love to do a collaborative. I would love to do a collab video with you. I would love to collaborate with you. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, I don't know I don't like, that's kind of how it all started. There's no connection to Suzie, but for those new coming to my page and they see all the pesto stuff and the Suzie stuff, and are like, what the fuck? That is kind of what it is. So it started off with that, and that video, because it took off so crazy, that has sort of like developed into this cult thing, and I've become known as the store-bought pesto guy, and I love it. I love it. I don't care if that's what I'm known for. I think it's hilarious, and I actually just made a video where I do something to a jar of store-bought pesto. I'm gonna go ahead and stop right there because that sounds terrible. I did not probably do what you kids out there are thinking I did. I destroyed it, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, that's how the Suzie stuff started. I would love to do a video with you, Suzie, if you're listening. But yeah, folks, that is all the time that we have today. I really appreciate you guys being here. We're going to try and keep these episodes relatively. I think the whole 3-hour podcast thing is like insane. I want to keep my podcast like between a half hour to an hour, so to speak, because I think that's much more reasonable for you guys. As things develop, things might get a little bit longer, but even still, I'm really not trying to take 3 hours of your time. But I hope you guys like this episode. I hope you guys, if you do, comment below, subscribe, share this video with your friends, family, whatever. But I really appreciate you guys being here, and send me all the voice memos of your crazy stories, and stay tuned for episode 3.